Hey everyone, it's Ananda from Galactic Mystic. Let's talk about the Pluto return of the United States. Let me take a moment to invite you to subscribe to this channel if you have not yet already. It would be my honor to have you, and that way you won't miss a thing. Last week, we talked about the Neptune opposition that the United States is currently having. And the week before that, we talked about the nodal axis, what sign it's in, what sign they are in now, and when and where they're going to be moving and changing. Each one of these astrological energies have a specific flavor, and we layer them together and try and paint the picture. A Pluto return is not something that people experience. We just simply don't live long enough. But we know that whenever Pluto comes to the forefront, whenever the god of the underworld is prominent, it's a time of reckoning, one way or another. Nations do experience Pluto returns, though. And for example, the Roman Empire fell during a Pluto return, but it was its second Pluto return. So it doesn't mean that every time there's a Pluto return for a nation that there's going to be total destruction and the fall of the empire. But it does mean it's a change, a big change. Even though the Roman Empire survived its first Pluto return, it endured incredible turmoil during that period of time. And we can look at history and see what was happening there. Another example is looking at the Pluto returns of the British Empire. Each one was a major turning point, including the abolishment of slavery during their third Pluto return. But so Pluto is ultimately a healer. We should always believe that we can heal, that we can do better. He represents our wounds and how we allow those wounds to affect us, how we act out because of them, because of our wounds. He reveals what we are not seeing so we can heal it and be truly authentic and free. That's the true freedom. So a Pluto return doesn't have to be total destruction. It can be a time of reckoning and healing and ultimately great improvement. That's our hope, right? That's always the hope when Pluto is involved. At this time, let me talk about some dates and just kind of get that out of the way. I will also put a link in the description box below where you can go to my website and I'll have it written out for you. So because Pluto goes retrograde and forward and retrograde and forward, there will be 3 exact hits of the Pluto return. The first one will be on February 20th of 2022. Then Pluto will go retrograde, and so Pluto retrograde will conjunct the natal Pluto of the United States on July 10th, 2022. Pluto will then go direct again, and the last conjunction will be on December 28th, 2022. And honestly, the window for this type of energy is, of course, bigger than just the 1 year of 2022. But we're talking about the exact conjunctions with that time frame. That's still a long time frame to have 3 direct hits. It's a lot. I will also be mentioning something I have not seen a lot of folks talking about, and that is the solar arc Pluto for the United States is conjunct the natal midheaven of the United States. That's also very telling here, kind of amplifies this whole situation. And that conjunction became exact on August 9th of 2001. So let's take a look at these charts and go a little deeper into this energy of the United States Pluto return. Okay, here we have the natal chart for the United States. Now, this is the Sibley chart. It's the chart that I like. There are more than one natal charts for the United States because nation building is a complicated process. But I really like this one. Yeah. So whenever we're talking about planetary returns, it's important to look at the natal placement of that planet. And there are some things that I want to point out here. So here is the natal Pluto for the United States. It is at 27 degrees of Capricorn and 33 minutes, and it is retrograde. It is conjunct the anti-vertex, which is at 26 degrees of Capricorn, and it is in the second house along with the south node in Aquarius. So wherever Pluto is in the natal chart shows us the lesson. The planets are teachers, and the zodiac signs are the method of the teaching. The United States has Pluto in the second house in the sign of Capricorn. It is conjunct the anti-vertex, which tells us that Plutonian events may have a fated energy to them. It may feel that way. Whether or not it is actually fated depends on your personal beliefs about fate. But it does inject a little bit of drama with this. So most definitely having Capricorn in the second house really does speak of financial systems, money, things like banks. I mean, I don't know if this is a very banky kind of feeling energy to me. But Capricorn can also be about our structures, our systems, and in the dumpster fire of Capricorn, we definitely have things like authoritarianism, toxic authority, definite imbalances in power and control, if we're looking at the dumpster fire. But in the, the more positive aspects of Capricorn would be about stability, longevity, strength, worldly power, and things like business and responsibility. But we're talking about Pluto, so we have to talk a little bit about our dysfunction. So with the second house and the south node here, which also highlights some of this type of karmic energy. And when I talk about karmic energy, I mean the kind of residue that we just seem to be born with. Of course, we're talking about a nation, not a person, but we do want to apply the same principles. We may have to stretch our minds a little bit about how we're thinking about this, but the basics are still the same. To have the south node in Aquarius, the south node is does represent our wound, our karmic wound. And this would be about being an exile, being different from everyone else, being an outcast. And if you think about it, the way the United States was founded, I think, the statement is that they were fleeing religious oppression. And so their experience of being in their homeland was very much the experience of being an outcast, I can assume, right? And so this is part of the wounding energy that we have. Being in the second house, it definitely speaks of just not believe, not being believed in, not believing in yourself, not feeling secure. So if we look over here, I mean, the United States has a Cancer Sun conjunct Cancer Jupiter, which is conjunct Cancer Venus. We have Cancer Mercury and a Cancer vertex. That's a lot of Cancer energy. And I actually love this for the United States. It makes me feel a lot of tender love for my country and its true self. We sort of have to look beyond the warts in order to feel that. But, the message that is written on the Statue of Liberty very much reflects this Cancerian energy. Give me all your weary people. Rest your head right here. Let me get you some hot cocoa and a blanket. The other side of Cancer energy, though, is the constant awareness of vulnerability and being it's such a heightened sensitivity. And so, again, there's this echo of the issues around security and safety. Security, safety. Is money our security? Is freedom our security? How do we acquire safety and security? Do we stay on the defensive? Do we stay on the offensive? Do we stockpile money? Do we print paper money out of the thin air? I mean, it's just all of these questions, and I can just really feel this. Something I want to take a moment to point out is this is the midheaven of the United States, and it is conjunct exactly within a few minutes, the supergalactic center. And whenever the supergalactic center is prominent in a chart, it speaks of incredible potential for healing and teaching. And this, again, makes me feel a little, not just a little bit, a whole lot sentimental and loving about my country, because this speaks of the purpose of what the United States is supposed to be. It is, what it really is. If we can sort out these power and control wounds, right? Again, with the supergalactic center, it involves the wounds. You have to heal the toxic crap in order to phoenix into the superpower that you're meant to be. I'm talking to you, United States. Yeah. I just dropped my microphone. Here we have the transits on the outside to the United States natal chart here. And here is the Pluto return. The date we're looking at is February 20th, 2022. So here we have the Pluto return is exact. We have the Neptune opposition, which is exact. And isn't this interesting? So maybe you've heard that it is believed that the United States has a karmic connection to the lost Atlantis. I think it was Edgar Cayce who said that the United States is the resurrection of Atlantis and is ultimately karmically tied. I would assume that means karmically tied, if that were to be true. Now, whether you believe that to be true or not literally, the asteroid Atlantis will be conjunct the ascendant of the United States chart at this time. It's interesting to note that on 9/11, when the Twin Towers fell, Saturn was conjunct the ascendant. of this chart. It's also interesting to note that the natal placement of the United States Atlantis asteroid will be experiencing a conjunction from the nodal, the North Node in Taurus. It will be just coming into conjunction at this time. In another month, in March, it will be exact. And at that time, transiting Atlantis will be opposing the natal Mars, which is conjunct fixed star Neal, which is about withdrawing your energy from things that no longer work. But that's a whole other story. There's a lot in this. So if you think about what we believe to be true about Atlantis, it's kind of the fall of same thing with the Roman Empire, of the abuse of power, the abuse of authority, toxic systemic structures that only benefit some. Now, regardless of where you are politically or what you believe is happening in our country, I think we all agree that there is a toxic power structure. What we don't agree on is who is actually behind that. With this type of energy, with the second house in Capricorn, it's almost saying very specifically to follow the money. You know, consider the 5 companies that benefited the most from the Afghanistan war, which is on our radar now, what we've been doing for the past 20 years. Or how about, you know, the handful of people who have all the wealth? Are we naive enough to think that money doesn't have power and doesn't pull strings and create events to multiply itself, the people who have it? Just some food for thought. I'm sure we all agree on that. While the South Node is our wound, Pluto sort of serves as the puppet master to arrange things so that the stage can be set so that we can see it clearly and have the opportunity to heal as we open our eyes. So we are talking about a lot of things being revealed. I can't imagine that through all of this, these major astrological energies, that thing we can't agree on who is behind what and what's actually happening and who's got the power and who's doing what, what's real, what's fantasy, what's illusion. I think I actually am quite certain that we will be able to be sure. We will all be able to see it. It has to happen. That's what I think. I hope that was interesting and informative. And it's going to be a wild ride, you guys, but I'm here for it. I believe in our healing. I believe we can do better, and I believe we will do better. Much love.